Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable exit planners from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Andy Arnold. He's the CEO of Centerline Wealth Advisors based out of Louisville, Kentucky. Andy, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
Andy, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically, who are the types of clients that you really specialize in helping?
Yeah, so we discovered a number of years ago that some of our business owner clients weren't really happy with the quality of their exit when it came time for them to retire or sell their business. And in many cases, they sort of woke up one day and thought, well, today's the day I want to sell. I'm tired of it. I'm burned out. Many times they hired a business broker, which performs a valuable service in this transition. But many times the business broker is going to go out and find a buyer today. And what we found was that the businesses just weren't ready for that buyer. The buyer found things they didn't like. The owner inevitably, probably commanded a lower price than they could have if they had backed this up to some period before. In other words, if they had prepared to exit maybe years before they actually sold the business, they could have commanded a higher price. So our ideal client is somebody that's looking to transition. They don't really understand all the options available to them. They might know that there's work that they need to do, but they just don't know how to get started. They don't know what to do. They're so busy working in their business, they don't take the time to work on their business. And that's where we can really help an owner in that mode become educated, take the steps to prepare, and ultimately transition their business out and command the highest price that they can.
I'd love to dig into that a little bit because you brought up a great point. I mean, the inspiration for the series was just the lack of information or understanding or awareness of things that should be put in place and how people should prepare to exit a business and plan for it. Tell me, when you first meet a prospect that reaches out to you wanting to sell and they don't know what they don't know, what kind of questions are already on their mind? What don't they know?
Yeah, I think, most people that own a business and they think about retiring one day, just think about an outright sale. Who's going to come in and offer me the best price? And so they don't know that there are many other options like an ESOP or an internal sale that can be very tax advantageous. They don't know whether to sell the assets inside the business, like if it's a manufacturing company, or do they sell the whole business, as a whole, as a going concern. Do they entertain sales from private equity or investment banking outfits? Do they try to sell to another company that wants to vertically integrate them? So they just don't really think about those things. They just hope for this, wagon of cash to come over the hill and bail them out at the point of retirement. And that's just a recipe for a failed strategy. And in fact, only 20 to 30% of businesses actually have a successful transition, either internally or externally. So, the mathematics are really against business owners. And, I'll give you a couple of statistics we work with. To your point, 66% of owners are not familiar with all the options to exit. 78% have no formal transition team. 83% have no written plan. 49% haven't done anything at all. Less than 7% have a plan for their life after the exit. So are they going to buy another business or retire? Where are they going to retire to? What does their lifestyle look like? 40% have no plans to cover illness, death, disability. 70% don't know what after-tax income they need to even retire. And to that point, you think of a business owner that sells their business for $10 million. If they just enter that transaction and sell it, well, the IRS is going to be looking for maybe 35% of that. So they might have $6.5 million in proceeds to reinvest. Well, how much income can that generate? We have some strategies can help business owners transact and keep that 10 million in a tax deferred manner so they can actually earn income off of that entire 10 million. So you think about just the differential there. So that's why we encourage business owners to understand all of these things well before they're ready for a transition. It just, because 50% of exits are not voluntary. You have things like death, disability, divorce, distress, or disagreements within the business that cause owners to have to exit when they're not even prepared. So literally, owners in many cases are leaving millions of dollars on the table because they haven't prepared for these transitions, either one that they're instigating or one that's forced upon them due to circumstances in their lives.
So if you're speaking to business owners today in any, stage of their business, how early is it to start planning for the exit? Like, what would you advise them on? And what are the key things that you start making them aware of that they need to start putting in place?
Yeah, really, the answer is the earlier the better. I mean, you hate to say a startup should be planning for their exit, but really they should, and they should be thinking about how to de-risk that business from an early standpoint. I mean, the answer is that owners are on a spectrum, and some just get to the place where they're burned out, and maybe they should hire a business broker and try to get whatever price they can because they just can't go any further. And that's a viable strategy because that's the place they're in, and there's nothing they can do to change it. But if we can really engage that owner, certainly months, but ideally a year or two before they plan to exit, or even longer, we can help them put procedures in place to think about how to de-risk that business. What if something like disability or death came up? What if there was a divorce? What if you had a disagreement with your other partners? We can really help them think about how to pull the ripcord if something like that happens, and still attain the best value that they can. But if we have more time than that, we generally engage that owner in a series of 90-day sprints where we work to help them both increase the cash flow on the business. And that's what a lot of business owners are tuned to. How do I increase cash flow? Because that's a sign of a business that's healthy and, hey, it's more cash in my pocket. But really, if we can attune them to increasing cash flow, but also doing the things to increase the value of the business, we get this sort of dual pull of cash flow and valuation, because really, you're trying to get the highest multiple of your EBITDA when you go to the table to sell. And that's critical. Too many owners focus on the cash flow because they can feel that cash flow coming into their pocket, when really they should be thinking equally about increasing the value of the business. And how do they do that? They put processes in place to make sure that they're managing their human capital, like their employees, their structural capital, the processes, that kind of the secret sauce that goes into that business. What makes it effective? How is it repeatable? They have to think about their customer capital. Do they have repeat buyers, strong customers that are always coming back for additional revenue, or is it a very transactional business? And you think about their company culture. Do employees like working there? Can they attract and retain talent? All those things are going to be important to a buyer. A buyer is going to come in, they're going to be sophisticated. Many buyers are going to have made many business purchases, but many owners, this is their life's work. It's only one business. It's the one thing that they know. They don't know how to structure that business to be attractive to a potential buyer. And so if those two don't meet, if the buyer comes in and they're uncomfortable with how these things are set up, that buyer may walk away with no offer, or may offer a much discounted offer for that business. And we don't like to see that, because the owner needs to get the highest value possible so they can transition to the next phase of their life.
Andy, you mentioned earlier one of the inspirations for you to getting into the field was hearing from a less than satisfied client using a business broker. Take us back a little bit more. Like, what really got you to become a certified exit planning advisor? What inspired you, and what got you to jump into the field?
Yeah, I think it was exactly recognizing this. And again, I don't mean to disparage business brokers, because I think they have a very integral part in this process. And for the right business owner at the right time, that can be a great solution. But we know one in particular. We had an owner. She was to the point of burnout. She had a manufacturing business. In its heyday, it was doing great. But she hired a business broker to come in and transact the business, to sell the business for her. And that broker went out in the marketplace and brought at least two, if not three, potential buyers to the table. In succession, these buyers went through and kicked the tires on this business. They all walked away without even making an offer. And the business owner was scratching her head. I'm sort of scratching mine saying, how did we get to this point? But upon peeling back the layers, really what happened was she had not de-risked the business. So there was a lot of risk inside of it. She had not created the structural capital that she needed. The business was very sort of reactive and one-off. There were no documented processes for how to make their products. The human capital, there was really no culture to the business and the employees. There was no social capital. It didn't really reach out in the community. It didn't sort of develop, bonds, that are any deeper than that. And the customer capital was so transactional. The customers would make a purchase or two and then sort of get tired of the brand and not come back. And so I think while there were some strong aspects to the business, there were so many other pieces that just didn't make buyers confident enough to step in. And so she was completely surprised that no offers, even discounted offers, came in. And so that to me just really illustrated, had she planned this 2, 3, 4, 5 years before she was ready to sell, she could have had something, I think, pretty good there. There was a portfolio of trademarks and things in there that made sense, but she's just scared all the potential buyers away. And so we don't want that to happen with our clients and the owners that we work with.
Fascinating. Andy, if we've struck a chord with listeners today, business owners that know that they need to get their ducks in a row here and would love to speak with you and learn more, how do they find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so my firm here, Centerline Wealth Advisors, we're a wealth management firm. We help families, business owners, and a lot of physicians coordinate all their financial affairs and do a lot of financial planning. But our subspecialty, exit planning, we've developed our own process. It's called Biz to Beach, B-I-Z, the numeral 2, Beach. You can visit us at biztobeach.com or centerlinewealth.com and check us out. My direct email is andy@centerlinewealth.com. And we'd love to talk to any owner who's thinking about these issues and wants to start thinking about an eventual exit.
This has been terrific. Andy, I really appreciate you taking the time to stop by and share with my audience today. And I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. I wish the same for you and best of luck.
That was Andy Arnold, the CEO of Centerline Wealth Advisors in Louisville, Kentucky. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.